Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com. In this video, we're going to be looking at a watch from Hamilton, a watch that I really do enjoy. I actually own one of these myself, but the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical with black PVD. So in this video, we'll take a closer look at this watch, full in-depth review. At the end, look at some things to consider before purchasing. If you are interested in purchasing this watch, link in the description down below to the product page on TeddyBaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of Hamilton watches. And if you have any questions before purchasing, don't be shy and book a time with one of our watch specialists in the top right corner of the website. But all right, guys, let's jump into the video and take a closer look at this watch. Now, when it comes to models that are perhaps some of the top gateway watches into the world of Swiss watchmaking, the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical has to be on a short list. It's synonymous in regards to, of course, being that gateway watch, but on the flip side, also being probably the best representation of what the brand has to offer, at least from the more attainable end. With roots dating back to 1892 in Lancaster, Pennsylvania in the United States, Hamilton Watch Company is a brand with a rich history producing military watches for the United States Army during World War I and World War II. And the field watch DNA is really what allowed the brand to continue to get to new heights in regards to popular acclaim. And looking at the modern catalog of the Hamilton Khaki collection, it is quite vast in regards to the different variants that you have as a consumer to choose from. The entry-level options from a mechanical perspective that are going to be the most popular are the automatic Khaki Fields, as well as these Khaki Field mechanical options, which I've reviewed pretty much every single variant on this channel before. And these hand-wound variants really do, I think, honor the past of those traditional military field watches, probably the best, while still offering up some good modern spec in the process. But today we're going to be looking at my personal favorite Hamilton Khaki Field mechanical watch I actually own personally and do really love for different reasons, maybe not leaning so much into the classical elements of what the field watch is maybe going to embody, but a bit more of some modern tactical flair with this black PVD version. So as mentioned, there's quite a few different options from this Hamilton Khaki Field mechanical collection, not considering the autos because those have a different design format, but for these hand-wound variants, you have the traditional black dial blasted stainless steel case, also the white dial variant, and the earth case variant, which kind of has this green hue to it. But as mentioned, this is my personal favorite, the one that we're going to be looking at today, because I think it separates a bit more from the rest. If I had to say probably the best first one to go for, I don't know if this would necessarily be the one, but for what this watch really represents in my personal collection, I just love how it is so different compared to the other Hamilton Khakis and has a bit more flair and uniqueness to it and has a more modern approach as well with its looks. So first, let's take a closer look at the case and wearability on this one. So this one comes in with a case size of 38 millimeters, very slender thickness of 9.5 millimeters, really due in large part to that manual wound caliber on the inside, has a 20 millimeter lug width and a lug to lug distance of 47 millimeters. In regards to wear, this one is an absolute joy to wear on the wrist. In terms of the thinness, it's great. Will slide underneath dress cuffs or any type of shirt that you're trying to kind of make it a bit more discreet. Does not feel bulky on the wrist. In terms of a range for mass market wearability for a field watch, that is, 38 to 40 millimeters, I would say for many people is going to be that sweet spot. This one I would say wears a little bit closer to that of a 39 millimeter case, given that it does have longer lugs on this one. So 47 millimeter lug to lug, so slightly larger than the typical 38 millimeter watch, but still very wearable, even on smaller wrists and up, depending on what your kind of context or understanding of a field watch is. This should work in a variety of different instances. Speaking a little bit more to the case, similar to the other variants, this is going to be a blasted surface, so has a matte surface. But this one's going to be even more apparent given that this is a black PVD case as well. Now, PVD in regards to more attainable watches in this price category is sometimes a danger area because it can flake, it can go ahead and chip. But what I found with Hamilton in regards to what they're delivering here with the blasted surface as well as the actual treatment itself, this one holds up incredibly well. I would say this one probably has a bit more of a mature kind of feel to this one and more exciting kind of feel to this one. Certainly not in line with the traditionals, but the black PVD compared with the black dial and the PVD case holds up very well to the competition in this price range. The case finish has a completely uniform style throughout, including the bezel that is actually positioned within the case. It does feature a large oversized crown at the 3 o'clock position, is also signed, and offers great accessibility when it comes to hand winding the movement. Just rotate around 20 to 30 times to get that fully 80 hours of power reserve until you feel a little bit of resistance when winding. Between the lugs on this one, we do have a 20mm lug width, which will offer quite a bit of versatility in regards to straps and different types of straps at that. The one that comes with this piece is going to be a nylon NATO strap with leather hardware, which does make the NATO strap feel more premium. I think Hamilton, compared to many in the price category, don't really skimp out on straps as much as some of the other people that are probably culprits of this. I actually use this NATO from time to time. It is a little bit thicker with the underkeeper NATO. You can actually cut off that underkeeper if needed and then use a lighter to then make sure it doesn't fray. This is a nice little trick to make the watch wear even thinner to the wrist. And when you're considering that this one is 9.5mm in thickness, this one is notably thin on the wrist. To match the case, the NATO does also come with matching hardware with a black PVD buckle that is signed as well. I would definitely have some fun though with different straps on this one, maybe going with some black leathers, some different canvas, some Cordura straps as well. All of those would look great when pairing it with this case. I would say that this is probably going to be the most difficult to pair straps with compared to the other Khaki Field mechanicals, but those are also known as some of the most versatile watch in the price category when it comes to straps, so just kind of keep that in mind. One final point of emphasis here is these do have drilled lugs, but you can also see where the hole is and the length of the lugs, that there can be gaps with certain straps. So just kind of keep that in mind. A NATO is of course going to be the #1 way to prevent and have complete certainty that this will not take place, but that is important to note. Casting across the dial, we do have a slightly domed sapphire crystal, which provides clear view of the dial elements underneath. So to match the black case, we also have a black dial here, and it is a rather seamless transition. It does have more of a, I would say, blasted kind of grain finish to the central dial surface. Features faux loom markers along the outside, as well as faux loomed hour and minute hand, as well as the tip of that second hand with a reverse lollipop counterweight. In terms of the faux loom markers on this one, I think it works even better with this blackened case. It doesn't seem as much out of place or force. Hamilton offers, I think, one of the better examples of doing this type of styling well. To contrast the faux loom markers as well as the prominent use of black throughout this entire watch, you also will have a white minute track along the outside, large white Arabic numerals, both in a 12-hour scale as well as the 24-hour or military time scale set right within that, being slightly smaller. The signed Hamilton logo at the 12 o'clock. In terms of contrast, this watch certainly has it, and legibility is exceptional here. The crystal can glare quite a bit under certain lighting conditions, but when you get it at the right angle, looking down at it on the wrist, you should have absolutely no issues with telling the time in this one. This one has very striking markers. And factoring in the black case, black dial with accents of white, there's no eloquent way to put it. This is, I would say, the most badass looking Hamilton Khaki Field mechanical. Now, so far we've spoken very highly about the actual design of this piece. There's, of course, the historical elements that make this Hamilton design really hold up over time. But perhaps one of the #1 selling elements of this piece is going to be the movement within. So this is a manual wound caliber. It's based off of the ETA 28012, but is going to be actually modified to reduce the beat frequency from 28,800 vibrations per hour down to 21,600 vibrations per hour for this H50 here, which Hamilton will call this movement, to allow the power reserve of this one to be extended to an impressive 80 hours of power reserve. Now, I have found in many instances that that is actually sometimes a conservative estimate for some of these movements, that mainspring, when coiled up all the way, can really extend out quite a bit, but 80 hours for a power reserve, very impressive. Swiss-made movement, a lot to like in that regard. In terms of anecdotal evidence, I've always found that these are going to run in the single digits for accuracy. So for a watch around $500, ton of things being packed in here when it comes to value. In terms of the actual specs of this movement, we're looking at 21,600 vibrations per hour or 3 hertz. This watch also does feature hacking, so hacking stop in the second hand when you pull out the crown to the farthest position, and again, that power reserve of 80 hours. So now to unpack and give some final points of consideration when looking at this watch. So quite frankly, I am a huge proponent of the Hamilton Khaki Field mechanical collection. All the models are great. In regards to value in the marketplace for a Swiss-made watch for around $500, they absolutely have to be on the short list, if not maybe the pinnacle of an example of what a Swiss-made watch for this amount of money should be. In terms of what variation to go for, that really is up to the individual. I don't think you could go wrong, but in terms of my own personal taste and what I wanted from a watch in this price category, I wanted something fun, kind of sleek, but different. And when it comes to this kind of blacked out look, this is something that a lot of brands do at more expensive ends, and when they do it at the cheaper end, they typically cut corners with the PVD treatment and things of that sort. But when it comes to Hamilton, you get a lot of that higher end look with a piece like this, with all, of course, of the same factors that come and are working in favor of the Hamilton Khaki Field collection, while fusing it with a design and price that is around $500. And for that, it made this one a complete winning formula for myself, and I think also a very distinct model and my personal favorite from the Hamilton Khaki Field collection line, although not going to be as versatile as some of the other variants. The black case compared to the traditional stainless steel blasted case is not going to maybe pair with as many straps, and this one does have 50 meters of water resistance, and when you're comparing it to like the Khaki Autos with 100 meters, there could be some detractors there. But in terms of where this one is sitting, I would say it's a bit more of a mature design from the Hamilton Khaki Field collection, as well as a bit more just sleek, and as I mentioned, no other eloquent way of saying it, this is just a simply badass watch, and I absolutely love it. All right, guys, well, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. If you're also interested in purchasing this watch, link in the description to TeddyBaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of all the brands that we carry. Also, if you have any further questions that were not answered in this video, please do not hesitate to book a time with one of our watch specialists on our website. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.